Hello!
Hi!
Thanks for joining us again in the Retro Shed. And now it is that strange time of year between... That's a new look for you, isn't it?
Yes.
Has it got anything to do with the video we're going to talk about today?
No.
Good job. All you need now is a gun. Anyway, yes, it's that strange time of year between Christmas and New Year. Did you have a nice Christmas, by the way?
I had a lovely Christmas.
Did you?
Yes.
Did you get those busted tickets you were after?
No, but I did get some smelly stuff.
What is it with
Smelly
women
stuff?
and smelly stuff? I mean, everything under the Christmas tree was just smelly things, really, wasn't it?
Oh, it was amazing. You wouldn't understand.
No, it's definitely it's got to be a woman thing, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Smelly
I think it
stuff.
is.
Yeah. Anyway, what I was going to say was, yes, it's that strange time of year between that quiet time of year between Christmas and New Year. So I thought we'd come and sit in here in the warmth and think about retro stuff in the shed.
Is that by any chance because you're a year older a few days ago?
Possibly. Yeah, possibly. But we do like to think about the olden days on this channel, don't we?
Yes.
And to look back at how much things were just better before they required a constant connection to the internet.
True. So, how old are you now? 35?
35 it is. That'll do nicely. Yeah, 35. Now, moving on.
35.
I've been thinking about some of the iconic game video characters that have been created over the past 35 years or so, and that got me thinking.
Ah, indeed. So the ones that spring to mind are obviously, Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Ryu.
Ryu?
Yeah.
Who's Ryu?
Ryu?
Oh, that weirdo with the flat top.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
Ryu. Yeah.
Mario, Luigi, Bowser, Solid Snake. I mean, Master Chief, Sonic, Link, Gordon Freeman.
Okay. You could go on for hours with that one, couldn't you, really?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, for some strange reason, about 1996 and the launch of an iconic game that has spawned numerous sequels, loads of sequels, actually. A reboot, 2 movies, a 3rd movie, I think. And that game is, of course, the brilliant Tomb Raider and its synonymous heroine, Lara Croft, who is just so cool. It's quite unbelievable, actually.
She is. She's awesome.
Yeah. So back in the 90s, Lara and Tomb Raider were not just a hit video game. There was much more to Lara than that. She was actually a cultural phenomenon, wasn't she, really?
Yes.
I mean, there were models lining up to play the part of Lara, such as Nell McAndrew and Rona Mitra, who incidentally can't act to save her life.
No.
And there were TV and poster adverts. So there was the Lucasade advert. Do you remember the Lucasade advert? And there's even a part of Derby's inner ring road called Lara Croft Way, named after Lara because Derby is, of course, where Tomb Raider all started. And, of course, Angelina Jolie played Lara in amazing. 2.5 decent movies.
I love them.
They're all right. They're all right, I suppose.
They're good. Absolutely. I mean, what a brilliant character indeed. And did you know that there's actually going to be a 3rd film next year, which apparently will be a reboot of the first 2 films?
Yeah, reboot.
So it stars Alicia Vikander.
I think that's her name.
Vikander, sorry. As Lara, and it looks like it picks up her story shortly after her father's death.
How many times has her father died?
A lot.
What's your name?
Lara.
Surname?
Croft. Lara, your father's gone. You can pick up where he left off. I see so much of him in you. Brilliant.
Hello, Sprout.
Never let it be said that Hollywood is out of ideas. Now, to set the scene, back in 1996, there was still a little bit of competition between the PlayStation 1 and the Sega Saturn, although the Saturn was starting to look like it was going to lose that particular generation race at that point. Plus, the multimedia PC was coming of age. I hate that term, multimedia PC. But it was coming of age with ever more powerful graphics cards, and 3D games were being created with more polygons, and textures were all the rage, really.
Yeah. Movies released in 1996 as well included Trainspotting,
Ooh.
Fargo,
Ooh, good film.
From Dusk Till Dawn as well. I like that
It's all,
one.
I think it's a film of two halves, isn't it? You got the first half, and then it goes a bit weird, doesn't it?
You got The Rock and Scream,
Scream,
as well.
good movie.
Love Scream.
Yeah.
And also, the Spice Girls have broken into the UK charts with Wannabe.
Oh my god.
Tune.
The Spice Girls. Thank God we don't see the likes of them anymore.
Yeah. And we also had the joys of the Fugees.
Your Fugees,
yeah. Mark Morrison as well.
Return of the Mac. God
Robert
almighty.
Miles and Gina G.
Anyway, and what a joy the charts were in 1996. Mm-hmm. Where are they now, I wonder? Anyway, work had started on the original Tomb Raider in 1993 at Core Design Studios in Derby, and the game took about 18 months to develop. The team consisted only of 6 people, including the creator of Lara herself, Mr. Toby Gard.
See, now Lara wasn't originally going to be the hero of the game.
No.
Because there was an option to play as either like a male or a female character.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
apparently, because this would have been, meant the cutscenes in the game would have had to be duplicated.
Well, they would have had to do 2 lots of cutscenes,
It would
wouldn't
have
they?
just taken ages. So the character was reduced to 1, and actually Toby preferred Lara as the female character. So
Over the male character.
Yeah.
Well done, Toby. So if it wasn't for that, we would never have had a Lara,
No.
probably. Now, incidentally, Lara was originally meant to be a cold-blooded military US character called Laura Cruz,
Oh no.
decked out in all military kit and stuff like that. But as the story of Tomb Raider started to take shape, it was decided to make her a proper English lady, and her name and personality was going to change to reflect this. And instead of Laura Cruz, she ended up being called Lara Croft, named after a bottle of sherry.
Really?
No, I made that up.
Oh. Core Design were struggling with the new 32-bit consoles at the time, and creating a full 3D roaming world was pretty much a unique and new prospect,
It
really.
was, yeah, it was.
And the development team struggled to make Toby's ideas work until they decided to create the world on a 3D grid.
Yeah, and that made things a lot easier, and it made Laura
Laura?
got me doing
Don't
that.
start.
It made it easier for Lara to interact with the environment. All the objects were placed on a 3D grid, so it was tough going back then. Tomb Raider was meant to be a timed exclusive for the Sega Saturn, and that version did have a number of bugs in it. And while that version was released, gave the team time to fix the bugs that were in that version, and the PlayStation release came out a few months later, or a year or so later, I think. And that was the one that I originally played and picked up.
Yeah.
Now, after the release of the original game, no further versions were released for the Sega Saturn. I remember living in a shared house at this point in Redditch, and coming home, I think it was one evening, and all my mates had been home for hours because they were lazy, didn't work. And they were all sat in the living room playing Tomb Raider, which I'd never seen before. And I came home from work and I was like blown away. I was like, whoa, what is that? What are you playing?
Yeah.
And the visuals, the music, and the effect of Lara like swimming through the water. I was just like, that looks incredible. And I think it was one of the reasons why I went out and bought a PlayStation, because I just fell in love with that game and bust a move, but that's another story.
It's another video.
Yeah, I know. And for me, Tomb Raider was like a good book. The story was absolutely brilliant, and I had to finish it night after night. I sat there slogging through, and I had to finish it because the story was just so good. The gameplay was brilliant, but the story itself held up on its own.
So let's just say, just in case you've never seen the game, and I know.
Do you remember you saying, just in case you've never seen a Game Boy before? In case you've never seen Tomb Raider before, where have you been for the past 30 years?
We've got to cover it.
No, 20 years, sorry. 20 years, not that old.
20.
20 years, yeah.
Basically, you play Lara Croft, who is a female Indiana Jones type kind of person.
Although
character.
Toby said he was never influenced by Indiana Jones, but I think, okay.
Yeah, all right, Toby. She's been hired by Jacqueline Natler.
Natler.
That's it, of Natler Technologies. To hunt down 3 pieces of a mysterious artifact known as the Scion. Yeah. Which is believed to be lost somewhere in the tomb, Peru?
Somewhere in Peru, I think. That's where it starts, isn't it?
Yeah. And the game takes place at various locations across the world where Lara must survive being attacked by Natler's henchmen, bears, wolves, mummy zombies, and of course a huge T-Rex.
A massive T-Rex. The mummy zombies scared me, actually. That level where the mummy zombie things attack, I was like, whoa, where did that come from? Because they were quite fast and vicious. But yeah, I remember seeing the T-Rex for the first time. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to kill that with a pair of pistols? But, in fact, just about everything is out to kill poor old Lara, from falling hurt to her death, burning, drowning, being impaled on spikes, being turned into gold by the hand of Midas, Damocles swords falling from the sky, and just tons of other lethal traps. So she's got her work cut out for her, actually.
She has.
But luckily, Lara can pick up and collect a whole arsenal of weapons from her trusty basic Nerf pistols, shotguns, dual-wielding Uzis as well, and magnums. And of course, any manner of damage can be fixed by the ever-trusty health pack.
Oh, they saved me many times.
Just like real life.
Yeah. You've been impaled, just wrap a bandage around it.
Yeah, find yourself a health pack and you'll be all right.
The story eventually leads Lara to Greece and then Egypt, I believe, where Lara battles scary mutant mummy-type creatures.
Yeah, it's just like being at home.
You don't want to be saying that. No, I don't want to say that. No. And she finds the third piece of the Scion, and finally to an unknown island where the Scion is pieced together, and reveals that Nathla is actually the third ruler of Atlantis.
I hate it when that happens.
It's just so annoying.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
And Lara has to do battle with her, who at this point has turned into a mutated winged thing.
That's happened to me before, actually.
Do you know, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, I do hate it when that happens. You know, you meet the final boss in a game, and you defeat that boss, and they just can't handle being beaten, can they?
No.
So they cheat.
Yeah.
They transform themselves into some mutant thing. It's always the same old story, the old mutant trick.
Yeah.
But to be honest, the story and the gameplay is excellent, and the story unfolds like a brilliant book. I was sad when I'd finished Tomb Raider. It was, you know, that feeling you get when you finish an amazing book.
Yeah.
And you just think, wow.
You just sit there and you just...
Now what am I going to do with my evenings?
Yeah. The game sold over 7.5 million copies.
Wow.
I know. And was critically acclaimed everywhere and went on to become a bestseller.
It did, yeah.
2001, Game Informer ranked it as the 86th best game
86?
ever made.
I'd have given it a bit more than that.
I know, it was a bit... Yeah, I would have gave
86?
it at least top 50.
Yes, did you know my game made the 86th best? No.
Really?
Okay.
And people that were not normally game players as well took an interest in Lara and her adventure.
Yeah, they did.
Tomb Raider won an award for Game of the Year and was contributed with much of the success of the PlayStation itself, probably resulting in a lot of sales for the console.
Yeah, it made me go out and buy it.
Yeah.
The reason I went out and bought a PlayStation, and I know at least 2 other friends of mine that went out and bought it
for that
when they'd seen Tomb Raider, because it was that good.
Yeah.
People I know that just not interested in video games bought it just to play Tomb Raider. So, Edge magazine, who don't always score highly at all, gave it 9 out of 10. Gosh. Computer and Video Games gave it 5 out of 5. Games Master scored it 95%, and IGN gave it 9.3 out of 10. That was probably before the days that IGN just accept payments for all the scores that they give out now, because I don't listen to a word IGN says now to me.
Not anymore.
Yes, I didn't have to wait too long until its sequel, strangely enough called Tomb Raider 2, was released the following year in 1997, and that was really eagerly awaited by Lara fans all over the world. Again, developed by Core Design in Derby, the sequel builds upon the original game and includes new moves, new weapons, and the use of vehicles. They also included a tutorial level called Croft Manor, and that was good fun, actually, because I spent hours trying to trap the poor old butler in the huge walk-in fridge.
So it wasn't just me then?
Yeah.
No. He creeped me out.
He just follows you around with a tray, doesn't he? Going clink, clank, clink, clank, clink, clank, clink.
Oh, that sound as well. If it wasn't just him, I'd know where he was in the house.
You can hear him following you around. It's like, go away, you creepy old man.
In the fridge you go.
I think he had a bit of a thing for Lara, perhaps. I don't know. Anyway, we go off, we digress.
At this point, Toby Gard had left Core Design, but the company had invested so much money and creativity in Tomb Raider that they couldn't walk away from the franchise.
No way.
The original game engine was kept, but it was kind of tweaked to offer better camera performance. Yeah. Polygon glitches were fixed, dynamic lighting was added, and a large number of polygons could be rendered on screen at high speed. So this meant more open locations could be added.
That's right. And Lara herself was given a makeover, and she now sported a free-flowing ponytail.
What?
Where it was just like a stick before, I think.
Yeah.
Rounder and smoother features. Yes. And her wardrobe was expanded to include a wetsuit, flight jackets, and other outfits depending on her location, actually.
And this outing puts Lara in the search for the mythical dagger of
Zian or
something. An, which was supposed to be a weapon used by the Emperor of China to command his army, which is pretty cool.
Must have been a big dagger.
Yeah. If the bearer of the dagger plunged into his heart, he would turn into a dragon. I hate it.
Do you know how many times I've tried that?
Yeah.
Doesn't work, kids. Don't do it.
We do not recommend that.
No, don't try and plunge a dagger into your heart thinking that it's going to turn you into a dragon.
It will not.
It's a bit of a bummer if it fails, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that didn't work.
Oh, well.
But we digress again.
Lara also travels to Venice, an ocean liner, an oil rig,
yes,
and a monastery in Tibet, and finally confronts the dragon. So that one time
the
did
one
work.
with the dagger, probably. Yeah. In fact, most of the I remember. I think it was the second level. Most of it was in a boat in Venice.
Yeah,
it was a really good level. That was actually. In September of 1997, Sony Computer Entertainment signed an exclusive deal with Eidos, who were the publisher of the Tomb Raider games at that point, to make the games exclusive to the PlayStation, and this prevented Sega or Nintendo from having any Tomb Raider games released on their consoles until 2000. Sneaky. And stuff like that still goes on today. A very lucrative deal actually at the time, which made the PlayStation the number one console for, the best must-have games.
Oh, okay. Again, the game was a huge commercial success with excellent reviews, and it was the most anticipated game release of 1997.
Yeah, it was.
At this point, Lara and Tomb Raider were pretty much everywhere, really, and she was at the height of her fame.
Yeah, I'd say.
Lara was featured in magazines, commercials, and her image was used during the U2's 1997 Pop Mart tour.
It was. I think they had her on the big screen behind her or something like that. Yeah, I know. Just for a computer character, as well, wasn't it, really? A year later, in 1998, we saw the release, strangely, of Tomb Raider 3, The Adventures of Lara Croft, again developed by Core Design. Now, this time Lara is trying to recover 4 pieces. It's always 4 pieces or 3 pieces or something.
Yeah, never one.
Keep these artefacts together.
Yeah.
It'd make the game a lot easier. Yeah, separate them up. Trying to recover 4 pieces of a meteorite. That's no mean feat, is it?
No.
That are scattered all over the world. Why these items are always scattered? Anyway, Lara visits India, South Pacific, London, Nevada and Antarctica, and Area 51, which is not supposed to exist, where Lara eventually encounters alien mutants and a large alien spider.
Yeah. No, don't do spiders.
Normal spiders are bad enough.
No. An alien one. Again, we also have new moves and outfits for Lara, new vehicles, locations, and, of course, new weapons.
Gotta have new weapons.
Yep. And those pesky piranhas that want to have Lara for dinner every time she steps into
Yes, I remember those
water.
guys. Yeah.
Poor Lara. I'd be terrified of
I remember the
if I
first
was
time
her.
I was walking like, I need to get over that river. In the river, she dies. What?
Yeah.
I didn't even see what happened.
No, it just
What
kind of just
killed her?
goes...
Yeah. Oh, look, there's something
Dead.
moving in the water. What's that?
I'm scared of baths if I was her. And flares can also be used to explore dark areas as well for the first time, which is handy.
Yeah. The game again used an upgraded version of the original game engine, and for the first time, triangular polygons were used, giving triangles or squares, giving much greater detail to the visuals and more complex geometry to all the level layouts. The game went also back to its puzzle-solving roots over the shooting-orientated style of the second game, which not everybody liked.
No.
AI was also given a makeover, and enemies no longer simply rushed at Lara. They hid and skulked in the darkness and attacked her strategically.
Is that better or worse? I don't know.
I think sometimes it made it more interesting because you'd start shooting at an enemy instead of just bounding at you like they did in the first two. They kind of like backed off and hid.
Yeah.
So you had to think about your attacks a bit more. So.
Well, Tomb Raider 3 was also a huge success and sold about 6 million copies worldwide.
Slightly less than the first one, though.
Yeah. But for some reason, reviewers were not as keen on the game as the original two, and some stated that the game actually failed to change the same tried and tested formula, and it was too difficult and unforgiving.
It was a tough game. Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation was released a year later in 1999 and was unsurprisingly another huge success for Core Design. The game engine was totally redesigned this time and featured many new moves for Lara, including the ability to grab onto ropes and use these to swing from point to point, which I remember being really, really frustrating to master. I hated that.
Oh. A new twist to the plot sees the game beginning as Lara, aged 16, and she was with her mentor,
Werner von Croy.
Werner von Croy.
Yes.
Exploring an ancient ruin at Angkor Wat.
Oh, great place actually to visit. Yeah, it's a real place, Angkor Wat.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. They discover an age-old artifact, but Lara uncovers an inscription warning of a terrible retribution to anyone who disturbs the artifact.
Right, I'm going to be down the pub then. I just read that and thought,
not worth it.
Leave it alone.
Not worth it.
Yeah, it's going to have your eye out.
Yeah, but of course, Von Croy ignores the warning, obviously, and ends up getting sealed inside a chamber.
Oh, that's a bit like the Crystal Maze.
Yeah.
We needed somebody to turn up with a, a harmonica.
Yes.
And a crystal.
Yeah.
And they could have got him out.
Let you out.
Yeah.
Which just goes to show, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Listen to Lara. She knows her stuff.
Yeah, if she tells you to leave it alone, just leave it.
Leave it
Just
alone.
leave it. Go and have a Coke and a smile. Development of the game began in 1998, and a new engine was used again for the game because they didn't want the PlayStation version of the game to be held back by the PC version's graphics. Now, as this was the fourth Tomb Raider game in as many years, the team at Core Design were now getting a bit bored of Lara and Tomb Raider and were suffering from creative fatigue. And they literally wanted to kill Lara. And this is exactly what they did, quietly. Lara ends up dying at the end of Tomb Raider 4 as she's left hanging on a cliff.
Oh, see. Now, according to designer Andy Sandham, the team hatched a plan to kill Lara.
Yeah.
But the management of Core Design didn't know this until it was too late. And the team were all talking to the office and they were shouting.
Allegedly.
Shouted at, for ending Lara in this undignified manner.
Yeah, I'm sure the management were really, really annoyed about Lara, but more importantly, annoyed about the lack of income that was going to come in because they killed the goose that laid the golden egg. So I wonder how true that is, actually.
We'll never know.
Tomb Raider 4 received generally favourable reviews and was the bestseller for 2 months over here in the UK. Edge considered it to be the best Tomb Raider game since the original, and that it was more involved than its predecessors. So, with Lara now dead, was this the end for our plucky English Rose?
No.
No.
Because in 2000, we saw the release of the Tomb Raider Chronicles, which was the worst selling game of the franchise to date. It was awful.
It wasn't good.
It only sold 1.5 million copies and remains the least successful Tomb Raider game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Tomb Raider Chronicles picks up where the last revelation ends, with Lara presumably dead. And a memorial service being held for her. I think that was at Croft Manor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And perhaps everyone was actually a bit glad to see the back of her at this point, to be honest. It looks like the game playing public had certainly had enough of her by the poor sales of the game, to be fair.
The game begins with 3 old associates of Lara telling tales and reminiscing some of her past adventures. And in the first scene, Lara is looking for the Philosopher's Stone in Rome. I know, a bit of an Easter egg there.
I've heard of that before. What's that from?
Harry Potter.
Oh, I'm not a Harry Potter fan, you see.
Dear, no.
No.
Then the Spear of Destiny from the ocean floor, and third adventure sees Lara on Black Isle of Ireland in her childhood.
Oh, right. Okay. The fourth part of the game is actually set in Egypt, where Werner von Croy is excavating the collapsed temple where Lara was supposedly killed at the end of the game before. And lo and behold, they find her backpack and exclaims that they found her. No, I think he exclaims, I found her, or something like that. Well, you haven't. You've just found a backpack.
Yeah, it's not really her.
No, it's not really her. Is it? And do you know what? I didn't even care.
Really?
I didn't even bother finishing the game. And like a lot of the game playing public, I think we were all getting a bit bored of Tomb Raider, doing the same old things.
Yeah.
And that's probably why it didn't sell too well, to be honest with you.
I mean, technically, it is a very good-looking game. Indeed, the texture's looking more detailed than ever before.
Yeah.
But the problem was, like we've been saying, it's all been seen before, and we just wanted something new from the Tomb Raider franchise.
Yeah, and I don't think they were offering anything new at that point. And in 2001 and 2002, we saw 2 Tomb Raider games released for the Nintendo Game Boy called Curse of the Sword and The Prophecy.
Ooh.
Both developed, again, by Core Design, and they received mediocre reviews, but we're not going to cover these here because I don't like small screens. So there.
So
too small.
Okay, so let's go on to 2003.
2003 now.
We saw the next generation of Tomb Raider games to the PlayStation 2 console, and that was the Angel of Darkness.
Ugh. Oh, it's rubbish.
This was to be the last game developed by Core Design in the UK.
It's rubbish.
I loved Angel of Darkness.
Rubbish.
Oh, I must have liked it because it was so glitchy.
Yeah,
I just loved it. The game was actually a direct follow-on from The Last Revelation, and it sees Lara trying to clear her name for being the primary suspect of the murder of her mentor, Werner von Croy.
So the game took 3 years to develop. Did she kill him? Did she not? I didn't care at that point. The game took 3 years to develop and was meant to showcase a new type of Tomb Raider adventure to exploit the power of the new PlayStation 2. However, the game was delayed twice and it was full of bugs
Yeah.
and suffered from a really naff control system.
Oh, it was awful.
I think I tried to play it once and it was so bad. I think I lasted less than an hour and went, that is rubbish. And
Yeah.
I took it and sold it. It was so badly received that the planned trilogy of games that were supposed to follow it was absolutely scrapped. And that was it for Core Design. The franchise was sold onto a new developer.
Oh. We now had a 3 to 4 year hiatus, and in 2003 the development rights were sold from Core Design to a US company called Crystal Dynamics, who brought us the Legacy of Kain.
Yeah, the Legacy of Kain series.
And
Gex.
I can't say it.
Gex. Gex was like a lizard, wasn't he? Wasn't he?
Okay.
Yeah, he was like
I've never
like
heard
a salamander sort of thing. I never played it actually. Good, it's supposed to be a good game.
Oh. So this was after the last couple of Tomb Raider games from Core Design failed to gain commercial or critical success, really. So the English Rose left our shores and she headed off to California.
Blasphemy.
I know.
Blasphemy, really. The first Crystal-developed Tomb Raider game was Tomb Raider Legend.
Yes.
And was released in 2006 on almost every platform available at the time, actually. From PS2, Xbox, Xbox 360.
Pretty widespread,
I think
wasn't
it was PS3 as well and PC and all the handheld consoles. The game was pretty much a reboot of the original series, beginning with a 9-year-old Lara and her mum in a plane crash over the Himalayas. She's not had it easy, has Lara?
She's
has she?
not.
No.
Poor Lara.
No.
She's a trooper. Now, the interesting thing about this game is that Toby Gard, the original designer of Lara, was brought on board as a consultant and a writer.
Yeah, he was.
So it was his first input which he'd had in the series since he left Core Design.
Yeah, and I think he went on to do more than just consultant write as well. He was a pivotal part of the game.
Yeah.
The game was overall a positive success, and critics felt like it was a return to form for the series, but it was said to be a little too short. The game sold over 4.5 million copies, and the PS2 version received a Platinum Sales Award for selling over 300,000 copies in the UK.
Oh. In 2007, a reimagined version of the very first game was released to celebrate 10 years of Tomb Raider. And this was Tomb Raider, good known as Anniversary.
Yeah, Tomb Raider Anniversary, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good name for it.
It was, yeah.
Again, developed by Crystal Dynamics, and it included all the environments of the original game, but this time fully rendered for the modern consoles. So it was released on all the major platforms, including Mac OS X and Windows as well.
Mac OS X as a gaming computer doesn't
It's a bit weird, isn't
really?
it?
No, but it was really, really good actually. Tomb Raider Anniversary featured slightly different moves, including pole swinging, that was absent from the pole swinging. That was absent in the original game, but overall it was pretty much the same game as the first, but with a more detailed environment and lighting. It was absolutely gorgeous actually, and it was very, very well received. Interestingly enough, this was the full first price retail game ever to be made available on Xbox Live Marketplace. Now, Eurogamer called the game the best Lara Croft adventure to date, and official PlayStation magazine scored it a whopping 9 out of 10.
So it's kind of going back to
It's brilliant,
original.
yeah. It's like playing the original game all over again, but with modern graphics. So you've got all the old locations, and I thought it was wonderful, yeah.
So going even further now, 2008.
2008 now.
Yeah, it was the 8th instalment of the franchise which was released, and that was called Tomb Raider Underworld.
Not sure I ever played this.
I don't think I have either.
No.
Again, it was also developed by Crystal Dynamics and was released on all the major platforms, so widespread again.
Yeah.
The story picks up from where Tomb Raider Legend left off as a direct sequel, really.
Okay.
And it was the third game to be developed by Crystal Dynamics.
Right, okay.
So the game features a dual targeting system,
Yeah.
active sonar mapping, and a multi-purpose grappling hook as
So
well.
how on earth did she fit all that into a backpack?
I haven't got a clue.
That's one big backpack. Think about it. You've got active sonar mapping
Yeah,
and a multi-purpose grappling hook.
yeah.
Weapons and all those...
Everything.
That's a big
Flares,
backpack.
I mean...
Now, this is where modern gaming started to rear its very ugly head, and downloadable content was released exclusively for the Xbox 360 in the form of 2 new chapters. Yeah. The game was supposed to be the first true next-gen Tomb Raider with a new physics engine, and was supposed to look photoreal. Lara lost her trademark turquoise top and khaki shorts and wore a brown halter top and black shorts. Wow, must have been worth buying for that alone.
Yeah.
Plus, her hair was no longer braided,
No.
but wore in a simple ponytail.
Yeah.
They must have figured out how to make her hair move.
Yeah, to make
I
it
don't know why
more-
I'm moving my
more
head like that, though.
with your long locks of flowing
Yeah,
hair.
with my flowing hair, look.
The Xbox 360, PC and PS3 versions received positive reviews, but the PS2 and Wii versions were pretty poor. So those versions had camera issues, bugs, and IGN went as far to say it was the worst Tomb Raider game and apparently was an embarrassment to the franchise.
Okay.
So the game failed to meet sales expectations and sold around 1.5 million copies worldwide.
Okay. I wonder if that was because those particular consoles weren't powerful enough.
Probably.
The PS2 and Wii were coming to the end of
Wii.
their lives at that point
Yeah.
in time, so they probably couldn't physically cope with a physics engine.
No.
In 2010, a game was released called Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light, which was for the first time dropped the Tomb Raider name altogether. Now, I'm not going to dwell on this, as I don't see it as a particularly good or true Tomb Raider game.
No.
It was sold through an online digital distribution portal for most of the mobile platforms, including BlackBerry Playbook. Do you remember that thing?
Playbook.
The BlackBerry Playbook
Oh.
disappeared without trace.
Yeah, about
I wish
a month.
BlackBerry would just disappear without trace, actually. There were also Xbox and PS3 versions of the game. The game is different as it plays from a fixed isometric camera position and features cooperative gameplay.
Oh, okay.
What, is there two Laras or something?
I haven't got a clue. Maybe your sidekick? I don't know about that one.
I don't know. A game developed by Crystal Dynamics, and it was pretty well received by the critics.
Oh. Now, at this point, we are at 2013
Oh.
and in the realms of modern gaming. We don't talk about
No, we don't talk about
shit.
modern gaming in here.
No. But I suppose we do need to cover them as they were literally yet another reboot of the
Yeah.
franchise. And overall, they're not really bad games, really.
No.
A new game developed again by Crystal Dynamics was released, simply called Tomb Raider.
Yes, I remember that one.
Yeah. So rather than a sequel, this game re-establishes the origins of Lara and is on set of the island of Yamati.
Yamatai, isn't it?
Yamatai.
Yamatai, yeah. Sounds like Yamatai to me.
Yamatai, where Lara and her friends must escape.
Yeah. I bought this game when it was released, actually. It's just called Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
And it's a much darker Tomb Raider game than anything that had come before it. I think it had an 18 rating.
Yeah.
There's some pretty... Have you played it?
Yeah.
There's some pretty nasty graphic violence in there. There's some
it's a
bad
bit
language. And there was some controversy over news that leaked about what looked to be an attempted rape scene
Mm-hmm.
for Lara in the game. But later on, the developer stated that sexual assault was not a theme of this game.
Yeah.
And that someone had misspoken and been overheard wrongly, and it had just all leaked to the
Yeah.
news and got out of hand.
much.
But besides that, it looks and plays absolutely wonderfully there, and it's a huge departure of what we know as the traditional Tomb Raider model. It was very well received by critics and highly praised. It received no less than 8 out of 10. Most magazines giving it at least 9 out of 10. Very, very good game.
Yeah.
Worth checking out.
Definitely.
But it's not for the kiddies.
No,
Not for the
I wouldn't
kiddies.
say so.
Very nasty in places,
No.
yeah.
Between 2014 and 2015, 3 further games were released called Lara Croft and Temple of Osiris.
Osiris or something
Osiris.
like that, yeah.
Lara Croft Relic Run, and then Lara Croft Go.
Lara Croft Go.
Lara Croft Go. Sounds like something like a Wii would be released.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Go.
Really? Yeah. Lara Croft Go.
And this brings us to the final game to date in 2015, which was Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
And that was released as a celebration of 20 years of Tomb Raider.
And I bought that today.
Really?
Yeah, we were uptown earlier, and I was in CEX, and they had Rise of the Tomb Raider for
Yeah.
PS4 for 19 quid.
Brilliant
I
game.
thought I will pick it up because I've never played it. I'll have
Yeah.
a look at it. Now,
Yeah.
thinking about it, we're talking 20 years.
20
20 years of Tomb Raider. Now I really
Yeah.
feel old now at this
no.
point, considering I'm only 35. The story follows Lara as she adventures into Siberia this time in search of the legendary lost Starbucks or something. What is it? City, the legendary lost Starbucks. The legendary lost city of Kitez. The game features a crafting system this time
Yeah.
that allows players to create weapons such as different arrowheads with different poisons and from scavenging in the undergrowth and all that stuff, and includes a day-night cycle with a weather system as well. So Lara, enemies and animals react to weather.
Yeah.
Great. Square Enix, who are now the publishers of the game, at this point caused a major outcry in 2015. I remember this when it was announced that Tomb Raider, the new one, would be an Xbox only exclusive.
Yeah,
now,
I was annoyed.
I went mad over
Yeah.
this. A lot of other people did. The news was met with a lot of negativity as sales of the Xbox at that point wasn't doing as well. The Xbox One, wasn't doing as well as PS4, and it was like a desperate attempt to secure sales of the
buy me.
Xbox, because Tomb Raider was such a loved game, such a loved franchise, and to say, "Oh, you're only having this on the Xbox,"
Yeah.
what?
I know, I
You
couldn't
having a
believe
laugh?
it when we heard that.
Tomb Raider has always been a platform-wide release. And this was the first time Tomb Raider was secured to one platform.
Yeah.
And I'm going to throw up again now because I'm going to have to say
Oh,
a
no.
season pass. Anything with season pass on, I won't buy it.
No.
I won't buy it if it says season pass. Was announced in October of 2015. And yet another bad trait of modern gaming. It really needs to disappear. Season pass. If I give you money, I want a game.
Yeah.
I don't want to give you money
for part of the game.
A bit of a game and then have to pay for more of it later.
Yeah.
But here's a point, actually. If you think about it, they did pretty much what Sony did back in 1990 something, where they said that Tomb Raider was only going to be a PlayStation exclusive and stopped Sega and Nintendo from getting Tomb Raider. So
yeah, you think
all Microsoft did at this point was do pretty much what Sony had done probably a decade earlier and said it'll be a timed release.
Yeah. I guess.
Yeah.
Well, the game was still very well received.
Brilliant, yeah.
And it has, thank God, been released since on PC and PS4.
Yeah.
In August 2016, Rise of the Tomb Raider was placed 18th, I believe, on Time's Best Video Games of All Time.
Okay.
And that pretty much brings us up to date, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it does,
Square Enix has recently stated that a new Tomb Raider game is being worked on and they're taking a new approach to the game, apparently. This is to coincide with the release of the new movie next year as well.
So if it's going to be a movie tie-in,
yeah,
it may well be absolute rubbish, because a lot of movie tie-ins are. Sometimes you get a good movie tie-in, but on the whole, movie tie-in games are just dreadful, aren't they? So, well, there you have it, really. That is a look back at over 20 years of one of gaming's most enduring characters of all time.
Wow.
I'm really not sure what direction the franchise will go, or what direction they can take it in now to make it anywhere near as epic as the original game. Yeah. I'm as you all know, I'm not a huge modern gaming fan, but I think the problem is corporate greed has taken over the gaming industry, and you'll never beat the thrill of playing the original Tomb Raider on the PS1. It was just stunning. For me, Lara is as much core design in Derby than anything else, really, and it'll always be, you know, the hunt for the pieces of the ski on that made me want to stay in and play that game for another night rather than go down the pub with everybody else, really. So I love Tomb Raider. Love Tomb Raider to bits.
I think it will be interesting to see how good or bad the new game and the movie will be.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, so I hope it doesn't let me down, really.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you for watching our video.
Yep.
And hope you enjoyed our look back at the wonderful Tomb Raider.
Hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you next time when we'll be discussing I Have No Idea.
Oh, I've never heard of that game.
It's good, actually.
Is it?
It's good, yeah. It's got no downloadable content, no season pass.
Just a game.
Yeah, it's
That'd
just
be
called
interesting.
I Have No Idea. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. Take care now. See you later. Bye-bye.
Don't you think you've seen enough?
Yeah, Tomb Raider: The Last Revolution. Revolution? What?
You drinking more Ribena?
I'm not touched any Ribena. I'm off the Ribena now.
Are you?
For the whole of January, no more Ribena.
No more.